I was laying in the back of the van, and my mom said, "Now listen, you listen to how I'm going to sing some notes on these songs, and your dad's going to sing notes, and I want you to lay here by the speaker." And she said, "Try to find and listen to people singing other notes than the ones that we're singing." And by the end of that trip, it just clicked.
Between the Grooves is hosted by James Curtis, music director and morning man in the Greater Toronto Area on Joy Radio. Hosts James Curtis talk to artists and industry insiders to discover the connection between music and faith. You can connect with the show at faithstrongtoday.com/Between the Grooves or via Twitter @BetweenGrooves.
Here we are, episode 214. Welcome to Between the Grooves, your look at music, ministry, and everything in between with today's top Christian artists. And today, our guest, Seth Elbe. He is 1/3 of the Southern gospel group Southbound. We're going to hear how the guys met, we'll talk about touring and balancing the rest of life, what worship is like in his church, talk a little bit about mental health and moving as well, and we'll see what else we can cook up. Seth Elbe, he's a worship pastor, songwriter, choir director, and part of the Southern gospel group Southbound. Let's get Between the Grooves with Seth. How much time do you have today?
I think I only have 4 hours.
Only 4 hours. Okay, so I can probably try to squeeze everything into that 4 hours. That's great.
Great. Well, I got all the time you need.
Oh, good stuff. Well, great to have you. You're a worship pastor, you're a songwriter, you've directed choirs, and now you're part of this Southern gospel group, Southbound. How do you divide all your time between all those responsibilities?
Well, what works out good is that I work for Clint Brown at his church. He's the senior pastor of Judah Church in Orlando. I'm his worship pastor. You know, we work together and our schedules are open to what's needed, and we just divide it between the church and schedule our trips. We don't miss a lot of Sundays, so that works out good. And, we stay busy, but we love it.
Technically, he's your boss, but he's also your friend.
Correct. Yeah, and that's what's great. I mean, it's kind of living. I really feel like I'm living the dream. I mean, doing what you love with people, with your best friends. It doesn't really get much better than that.
Well, it's not work anymore, right?
Well, it's still work. We often talk about what people think it's really glamorous to travel, but they don't see the 5 a.m. flights and the waking up in hotels in different cities for different days, and but it's great. I mean, we really enjoy it. We enjoy spending time together. So, I'm truly blessed.
I've done some traveling in my days as well, and usually only a couple of nights away. And let me tell you, there is nothing like being home.
Yeah. I will tell you, a couple weeks ago, I woke up and I asked my wife, I said, babe, where are we? And she said, don't worry. It's okay. We're in a hotel. And I said, yeah, I can tell I'm in a hotel, but where is the hotel located? I don't know what city I am in.
Yeah.
We had just, a lot of times we do like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday deal, and sometimes that's 3 different cities. And, I keep the hotel key with me with the little book that tells me what room it's in, so I don't go to the wrong room.
Right. Well, I do that too, because your rooms can always change as you travel from city to city. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think, what you've said about the glamorous life of being on the road and being on stage and stuff, really the being on stage part of it is the culmination of all the work that you've already put into this thing.
Yeah.
And really, at that point, it's just like, now I can relax,
Yeah, there's really, I think the only thing that's probably work-related or the stressful situation is just getting set. When you get to, let's say you get to a venue or a church, and you want to make sure that, your equipment, you have all the equipment that you need in order to get the sound check and the tracks run correctly and the videos on the screen and graphics and all that stuff. It's a couple hours, a couple hours of that, and you make sure you have all the products that you need, and we set all that up, and we do a lot. We do all that ourselves. So, for a couple hours there, you're making sure everything's right. You test everything. And then, once that's done, then it's just back to having a good time.
Right. It's like me on the weekend. When I wake up Saturday morning, I've got a bunch of chores, I've got some laundry, I've got some other stuff that I need to do. My goal is to get all the work done so that I can relax. I don't want to have to, relax, take it easy, and then scramble late in the day. It's like, oh, I still have to do all this other stuff. I just want to get the stuff. I want to get the work done so I can enjoy the rest of the day. And it's similar when you're on the road. There's a lot of work that happens beforehand, before the gig, before the concert, before you're on stage in front of a pile of people, getting all that work done, and then you can relax a little bit and, maybe have a leisurely lunch if you've got the time, or maybe even some sightseeing if you can, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Some people say, oh man, what'd you do for fun in this city or this city? And, it always depends on if we have some extra time, or, how tight the schedule is. Yeah. But, the good thing is I really do enjoy traveling, airports and all that doesn't stress me out. So I really do enjoy that. And, I sleep really good in hotel rooms as long as they're really dark and really cold. So, I'm really loving it. I promise I'm loving it.
Good stuff. The one common denominator I have to say about Southern gospel music is the harmonies, and that's what you guys do very well with Southbound.
Well, Jody and I have been singing together. We met in the 90s, and we were I had moved back to Georgia after being gone for a few years, and when we met, we were on a worship team and in a choir together, and so we started singing together. He's kind of like the fourth of the Elbe brothers. I mean, we're really close, and so every time we got a chance since then, we've been in each other's weddings and been there, just really close friends. And we met Bishop in around 2000, and so because we've always enjoyed the same music, and I think it's just because we've spent so much time together now, it's just it's not even work for us to find harmonies. I mean, when you sing together with somebody that long, you just gel. Yeah. And we've listened to a lot of the same, like I said, a lot of the same music, the praise and worship, and done it for so long that now, and how this thing started, I'm sure this is something that you want to know, so I'm just going to go to it. But actually how this started is Jody was coming to Orlando for a wedding and was staying with me, and we went over to Clint Brown's house and sat around the piano and was just singing. And then we went live, and people loved it. And like 80,000 views later, we were like, man, we've got something here.
Yeah, maybe we should do something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's how we didn't start this thing to go, man, we should start a group and we should do an album and we should travel. Like, none of that was the plan. And so we just got such a great response. And so we just said, man, let's, it really just happened a little bit at a time. Like, hey, let's sing in church this weekend. Let's learn this song. And then, hey, let's go live because that was a lot of fun today. And then, man, we should record these songs. And, everything just kept happening. God kept opening doors. And so it's just been a really amazing thing to see that exact thing happen. I mean, God's opening doors that we weren't expecting. We're not over here trying to sell ourselves or trying to, become something. It's just, hey, this is who we are.
Right, yeah. And the fact that you've known each other for so long, I mean, that lends to the whole, the singing of the harmonies, kind of knowing exactly what the others are up to, right? You kind of know where they're headed. You could sing a song cold and kind of jump into the harmonies, and you kind of know that the other person's going to be doing this just naturally, right?
Totally. And what's funny is because of that, there's times on stage that one of us, will just start singing a song, and people think it's part of, it's in our lineup. And there's times that we're just, we're just flowing and having a good time. And sometimes Bishop will go to the keyboard and start singing songs, and, we just jump in and flow in and out of it. And it's great. And most of the time it works.
Yeah.
some of the times, Bishop Mark, he might be singing a song, and Jody and I just kind of look at each other and go, let's just let him take this one.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to be that high in that key.
Right. Well, that's part of it, too. You got to make sure that it's within the range for all the singers. Have you ever had situations where you're in front of a group of people and just you end up doing a couple of requests, like people either shouting out or just like, hey, somebody was mentioning they wanted to hear this song or whatever?
We've done that a lot when we've gone live, that people will just live on Facebook, and people will just say, hey, we're going to sing, songs we grew up singing. So if you have a request, hit it in, and there'll just be people typing in, we can't even get them all, we'll sing for an hour or something, and it's like, okay, well, that's all we can do. We're tired.
Yeah.
But often, I will tell you, often in the green room or we're at a church, and it's very, very often that, the pastor or the pastor's wife or, somebody that's in the room goes, man, I would really like it if you guys could sing this song, or I will say sometimes I'll ask the pastor or somebody on staff, hey, tell me your favorite hymn, and if we know it, we'll try to put it in,
right,
put it in the list.
Well, and that's nice because it's the familiarity with all of that, especially the congregation or the people attending, where they can participate, not just watch, but actually participate in the whole, concert, if you want to call it that. I don't like the term concert. It sounds too much like we're sitting in our seat and we've paid money to just watch you guys perform and do a show for us, Right. Yeah, it's definitely, because we're all worshipers and worship leaders, I will say that's one thing that makes us different than a lot of other groups out there that are just doing, a song to song or a track to track to track, flow, that we can, there's times we change our set list in the middle of it, or there's times that we'll just go into a praise and worship setting and cut out 3 or 4 of our songs because we've, taken the time to lead the congregation in worship. Right.
And so, that is a different feel. It sure feels less like a concert.
Is everything you do, I guess specifically as a worship pastor, is everything you do have a gospel vibe to it in your church, or do you also incorporate like the Hillsong or the Elevation or Bethel type styles? I
do a total variation. We do a lot of Elevation. I'll throw in some Maverick City. We know a lot of those people.
Yeah.
And, but I'll just say, like yesterday in the middle of my set, we were singing a song, and I went into the old song, There's Just Something About That Name, and I think that was, I think that's the Gaithers, but, song, like I said, it's, I could go into, I mix it up between doing something that's gospel to something that is, an old hymn, and then something that's Bethel, and then you got to understand, I'm leading worship, and right in front of me is Clint Brown, and he's written over 500 songs. And most people don't know this, but 3 seats away from him is Ron Canoli.
Yeah, I know him.
And so, no pressure there, but, so yeah, we really do. At my church, I mix it up a lot.
I guess when you throw in an old hymn, for the younger generation, they wouldn't necessarily even know that it's an old hymn anyways. I mean, everybody's participating and singing along, but they might just think, especially if you've got a new groove to it or new style to it, they would never know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that come to me after church and go, hey, I'm trying to download this song. Who is it? And I'm like, Well, first of all, that song's 80 years old.
Right.
And
yeah, they think it's something new, right?
Yeah. And they think it's something that we, or a lot of times people go, man, did you guys write that? And we're like, no.
Would I like to, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You come from a musical family. My family was musical growing up as well, which is awesome because, whether you're singing in the car or playing musical instruments, everybody can participate. And I think that is probably the birth of harmony as well. I mean, I never got trained on how to sing harmony. I just I just had it. You know what I mean? Did you find the same thing for yourself growing up?
Well, actually, my story is it's very close. But what happened was we were on my family and I were traveling, and I remember we were in a van, and there was I think I was 5, so and it was right before my sister was born. So there's 5 of us, so 3 of us boys and my parents, and we made a stop. At our first stop, my dad bought an 8-track of the Oak Ridge Boys. I was laying in the back of the van, and my mom said, "Now listen, you listen to hear how I'm going to sing some notes on these songs, and your dad's going to sing notes, and I want you to lay here by this speaker." And she said, "Try to find and listen to people singing other notes than the ones that we're singing."
Right.
And on that trip, that's what I did the whole time. And by the end of that trip, then when we just turned on the radio or put in something else, it just clicked.
Right.
And so, then every time that we went to sing after that, instead of us all just instead of just always singing the melody, then my parents were like, "Okay, you take this harmony and I'll take this harmony," and that's what we did. And it's funny because now I have children, and my daughters, they're both musical. My daughter's 15, and if you turn on the radio in a car and you're listening to music, she can do the same thing.
Right.
And he has an ear for it. So it's and my son sings as well. So it's great to have that generational gifting continue.
What I do as far as harmony is concerned, and I turn on the radio or listen to a song, I always try to find the harmonies that you don't hear.
Yeah.
Because the song is, I look at it and say, well, the song is kind of empty. It's missing this one, range or this one, group of notes. And that's what I'll try to sing just to fill out the song to make it better, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I love doing that to songs. I actually listen to a lot of country music. And I do that, especially with solo artists when they're singing something. I like to find harmonies and sing along to make get it a different feel sometimes. And
yeah, I mean, for a solo country artist, though, a lot of times you'll hear the harmonies, and it's just they just re-recorded their voice several times with the different parts, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, technology, right?
Yeah, right.
So you've got a new album that's come out, and I wanted to hear a little bit about it. I guess my first question about it is, how did you guys record that? Because we're in this new era, this new age where things have dramatically changed in the last year and a half as far as recording is concerned. A lot of it's done online, or some people will record parts and then send it off to the next person, and then producer adds a bunch of stuff and musicians and whatever else. Was that what happened with this album?
Yes. Actually, we found John Johnson is a guy in Covington, Georgia, and he has a thing called Tune Designers. And Tune Designer, they're musicians. There's 4 musicians in Covington, Georgia, and they have a recording studio. And so what they do is people can send them a recording, even just a recording from your phone, of you just singing a song you wrote. And what they do is they have a fee that they'll make you a track, and they'll say, okay, and you can tell them, these are the instruments that I want, and this is the feel, and they can do it. And those guys are so gifted, and they're just amazing, just great guys. And so Jody had known of them because their studio is like 10 minutes from Jody's church. So it started off, we were just like, okay, well, let's have them do a song, and let's see how it goes. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is we had them all play, like Bishop recorded on his phone. He said, okay, guys, we're going to do this. We sat down at his piano, and we said, okay, we're going to do this song, and then this is the feel that we want, this is the tempo, and this is the key, and then let's do a key change, and then here's the format. We're going to do verse. You just give him a format, mm-hmm. and then send him that recording from a voice memo on his phone. And like 2 weeks later, they were like, okay, this is what we got. So we had them send those files to a studio here in Orlando. And so we went to that studio, which a guy from our church had one. And that's how we did the first song. And then after we got done recording it, we sent it to a guy in Nashville. And the guy in Nashville, Barry Weeks, he mixed it. And then, that's how we did the first song. And then that went so well that we've done 20, I think 22 songs that way.
Oh, wow.
And then actually it's 3 more, so it's 25 because we just did 3 Christmas songs for a Christmas EP that's about to come out.
So you got to take these guys on the road with you, so you've got a full band. Well,
I will tell you, we've done 2 shows so far. One was in Covington, and then we actually last week we did a live DVD recording in Nashville at the Franklin Theater, and 3 of the guys in the band were 3 of those guys.
Oh, that's great. They would already know the vibe. They would already know the music for the most part.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing. And they would know you guys because they've heard you
and,
sending them.
And we were able to do it. We were able to, because we all live in different cities. Like the guitar player was the guitar player from my church, Joey Z. And then the bass player was a guy in Nashville. And so, we didn't have a lot of time to prepare or have like all these rehearsals, but because we could send them the tracks and 3 of the guys played on the album. And then, Joey listens to our music a lot, and Landy is just amazing. So, we were able to do a live DVD concert with very little practice time together as a group.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's the lead sheets or the background tracks, having people have that in advance, it gives them a chance to practice on their own. But quite frankly, if you're all seasoned musicians and artists, it wouldn't be rocket science, that's for sure, getting together. Yeah,
and even that night, there were some things that we had a lot of different guests come up on stage. Reba Rambo, Jaron Davis, The Sound, lots of different people. And we went, even there were times that, somebody jumped on the piano and we all started singing something that wasn't planned, and everybody just kind of jumped in. So it was great.
So you guys are touring as Southbound, and you're, are you guys moving into the Christmas stuff too? You mentioned there's some Christmas songs, so are you going to be kind of changing up the gigs a little bit, where you're going to be doing Christmas shows closer, in December, I guess?
Yeah, we have some bookings in November and December. We actually have one that's like the week of Christmas, the Wednesday before. We'll be at the So in North Carolina. And so, probably for November, December, we'll work in those Christmas songs and do, some of the classics along, with our tracks.
And dress the part as well, obviously.
Yeah. I told someone the other day, I said, I went and bought a winter jacket just because we're supposed to go back to Boston. And I said, well, when we do a Christmas song, I might just, go backstage and put a jacket on and, a scarf and just, fill in really make it feel like Christmas. Yeah, well, you'll just do it for one song because with the lights on you, you're going to be dripping in sweat anyways. Right? Yeah. It was funny. We were at Mark Lowry's house and we did a live video with him the day that we released our CD, and we were in Houston, and we got done, and the first thing he said when we were done, he said, "Man, y'all sing so hard." And we were like, "This is just us. Like, this is what we do. There's only one way. It doesn't matter if there's 20 people in the room or 2,000. We really do. We sing hard and we sing loud, and yeah." Would you ever do like a collaboration with like the Gaithers or the Gaither homecoming type scenario where you bring in a bunch of people and just do stuff together? Yeah, absolutely. That vibe is really cool. I will tell you, we did. We were at the National Quartet Convention a couple weeks ago, and we did a breakfast that our record label, we're with Daywin Records, and Daywin had put on a breakfast for radio DJs and some executives, and it was like a private venue, but it was in a small theater, and they had all of the Daywin artists on stage, and we kind of did that. Everybody, like, each group or person sang one of their songs, and then at the end we sang some of our songs, and then we sang some songs together just from the piano, and that was really, really great. And I told the president of Day One, I said, man, we need to do this as a concert. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was great.
Just make sure you don't pull the radio guys up on stage and have them sing.
Right.
Oh, that's nice. Let's just take a step back here. I'm assuming, based on your bio, there's a couple of interesting things that I read. First of all, the fact that you moved more than 36 times. Like, what the heck was going on there?
Well, the number the golden number right now is 39, and I'm not done. But I will say, when I was a child, we moved a lot. We moved all the time, and it was just, I think my father just was always changing jobs, and but it's true, and for some reason, neither one of my brothers, continued the tradition like I have. Mm-hmm. One of my brothers, he has girls that are seniors in high school that have grew up in the same house. So I can't even, I can't even think that far. I think the longest I've lived in a house is 2 years. The same place is 2 years.
I cannot imagine that. Like, I don't like moving. I really don't. And, to pack up. And then, even if you live in a place for 2 years, I mean, you don't even have time in that 2 years to unpack all the boxes.
Well, you know what? You end up, when you move this many times, you don't keep stuff. Like, I don't have a garage or a closet full of boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff that I don't use. There's times where, if I was moving, I'm like, I haven't opened this box since the last time I moved. Well, then I'm not going to move it again.
Right.
So, and it was funny. We've been so busy this year. We my wife and I, we live in a condo in Orlando on the 3rd floor, and our lease was coming up to renew. And I told her, let's just move. And she's like, well, we're too busy. We're traveling too much, and we're going too much. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We have a month. That's plenty of time. And we decided not to. Just to not add stress. But I will tell you this. I've done it so much, I actually enjoy it. And there's people when I go to church and I hear that people are moving, and I'm like, okay, well, let me know, and I'll be there.
Right.
Like, I'm a gold member of U-Haul. I mean, just let me know, and I love packing up the truck and playing Tetris with all of your stuff. Let me do it.
Right.
So.
Well, that's an art right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fitting stuff into the truck properly.
Yeah, I get a lot of funny looks when people go, you actually want to help us move? We don't have to beg you? I was like, no, let me do it. I'll do it.
I don't mind helping somebody move as long as they have the pizza when we're done. The traditional pizza, everything's in the house, not necessarily unpacked, obviously. Maybe the beds have been put together so there's a place to at least sleep. But other than that, bring on the pizza. Yeah,
exactly.
Is that the typical meal every time?
You know what? I would tell you 9 times out of 10, that's it.
Yeah, not really original, is it? But it works.
No, it's easy.
Yeah. Now, speaking of pizza, I understand you're somewhat of a chef as well. Do you do a majority of the cooking for your wife and kids?
Yes, I do a lot of the cooking here, but I also, what's funny is, like I said, we live in a 1-bedroom condo in Florida, but Bishop, and his wife Kendall live in a beautiful home that's about 15 minutes away, and I love their kitchen. So I actually nowadays I do the majority of my cooking at their house when we all want to hang out.
No, they must like that too.
Oh yeah, they love it. Yeah. And cooking relaxes me. So I'm like, yeah. So it's often when I ask Clint, I go, hey man, I'm headed over. You need anything? He goes, well, pick up some steaks.
Right. Yeah.
So I only drink. Here's something you could know about it. I only drink Diet Mountain Dew, and my water intake is when I put ice in the cup before I pour the dew in it.
Okay.
And so, and Clint Brown, he likes Diet Coke. So when we go on the road, it's very often that the first thing we do when we land, because you can't fly with drinks and all the liquids, and I can't tell you how many airports that I've got to go through security, and I'm emptying 3 and 4 cans or bottles of Diet Dew that are perfectly fine and they're sealed, but I can't. But it's crazy because 5 minutes later, when I get through security, now suddenly I can have them.
Yeah, I know.
But so there's times where I love to cook, and we have for our staff or just for the family. We get together, and often I'm the one that enjoys cooking.
Would you say you're a picky eater when you're on the road?
Well, there's 2 things. I guess I'm specific, just because there's like I want to go to I will tell you this: when I travel, I don't like to go to chains. I don't want to go to a restaurant chain. I don't want to go to somewhere that I can get, here.
Right.
So when I go, I love to go to the city and go, hey, what is this city known for? Or first of all, is there somewhere like, we love Papados and Papacitas, but there's not either one of those in Orlando. So if we go to a city and we land, that's one of the first questions. That's, hey, is there a Papados or a Papacitas? Because if so, that's the first place we're going.
Right.
But if not, I like to go to just a hole in the wall.
Right.
Let me go downtown and just find this little shop that, or if you're there was a place in Nashville, the Biscuit Love. It was the place, and little places like that. There's not anything like that here in Orlando. Or on iDrive. So I like going to places like that to, experience something that's good, that's stood the test of time for a city, but,
right.
It's unique.
Well, and if you're going in and asking what they're known for, and then you go to that place to eat, you really can't complain because they're known for that. Whether you like it or not, it is good because obviously people eat there and they're known for it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you ever been on the road where you cook yourself, or is it always you don't have time for that?
You know what? I'm thinking that I've never been somewhere that I've really had time to do that. Now, if we go to Atlanta, my mom lives in Atlanta, and so does Jody. So I have been. There's several times that we've been in the Atlanta area for a concert or for or to go to the studio with the tune designer guys. That I've gone over to Jody's house and cooked for his family, or when I go to town, I go to my mom's. My mom and I, the first thing we do is go to the Publix and do shopping, find out all the things we're going to make when we're together. So yeah, we both enjoy that.
My wife's retirement goal is to be able to, and it'll never happen, but her retirement goal is to have a personal chef. So my question to you is, whenever you're in the Toronto area, will you come to our house and cook?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to make sure she hears this episode, and we're going to hold you to it.
Listen. I would love that. We were actually in Boston, and when we got done with the concert, the guy said, "All right, you're going to come to our house, and we're going to have steak and lobster." And so it was funny because it's like 11 o'clock at night, and boiling the water to do these lobsters. He had 30 lobsters, and then they're going to have steaks, and they were turned on the grill. And I asked him, I said, "Do you need me to grill?" And he said, no, my brother's here to do that. And I said, okay, well, I was so hungry I would have done it myself, but
right.
They fed us like champs. But yeah, man, I will tell you, anytime people let me cook, I do it because it's another weird thing that I enjoy.
Yeah, if it's something you enjoy, and I guess the problem would be is if you are starving, you're going to try and rush through it. But at the end of the day, if it's something you enjoy doing, why not, right?
Well, just so you know, I grew up from the time I was 12, maybe 10. Yeah, probably around 10. My mom taught me stuff. So by the time I was 10, and my mom cooked our meals, and then I started cooking our meals. And my mom's worked, and my mom still works to this day. So it's just something I did. I enjoyed it, and I did it to help her out. And then when I was a teenager in high school, I worked in some restaurants. One of my favorite stories to tell people is kind of shocking, as they could say, when I was 15 and 16, I worked for a New York Italian mafia family in an Italian restaurant, and that's one of the best places that I learned one of the some of the best recipes and learned how to grill a steak. So yeah, man, I've never been to Canada, so get us a booking. We'll come.
You're welcome, for sure. Yeah, I will say I have become, over the years, an expert at boiling water. Yeah. I can do pasta with a little guidance. I can boil eggs. I can do anything with eggs.
Wow.
I can fry them. I can scramble them. You name it. I can do wonders with eggs. But I'm not the cook. And when I was a kid, your mom usually tries to train you into the kitchen just so when you're on your own, you can handle things. And I can handle that. I'd be eating eggs every day with toast, right?
Well, my wife cooks a little bit, but after I cooked for her a few times, she was like, I don't even want to try. I don't even want to try.
Yeah.
Like, we could cook the exact same thing with the exact same recipe with the exact same ingredients, and I don't know what you do, how you do it. If you make this crispy and you make this creamy, I don't know what it is, but I don't have it. So she's grateful.
My wife is an amazing cook. She's the type of person that goes into the kitchen and she might even have a recipe in front of her, but more times than not, she goes in there and she starts making something, and I'll wander in. I'll say, "What are you making?" She says, "I'm not sure yet." She's just kind of making it up as she goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's nice to see the creativity and see how it turns out in the end. And usually, more times than not, it's delicious. So,
well, speaking of retirement, my plan for retirement when I get done, at a church when they're tired of hearing the old guy sing, and when they hire somebody younger and cooler, I like to just we'd like to buy like a bed and breakfast where we live in it, and people come and they rent out rooms, but then at the same time I can cook for them and take up my time that way.
Yeah, and it's fun. At least you're keeping busy. They always say when you retire, you should do something to keep yourself busy. Otherwise, you'll just end up withering away doing nothing and be gone, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah. Let's get back to the live shows just for a second. I just wanted to make mention of the fact that the live shows, as well as the album, I guess, part of the proceeds going to benefit the Autism Society of America?
Yes. Jody has a son, his oldest son. He's 9. His name is Judah, and he is autistic. He's nonverbal. But he's just, a sweet, sweet boy. And he's got a smile that just lights up the room, and we all love him, and he's so sweet. And so, part of the heart of our ministry is to minister to people, but also to, raise awareness and, donations for that. And so that's really important to us, and we do stuff to help that society and also to help his school. His schools right now are raising funds for a playground for them, so we're helping with that. So, we're family. The three of us are like brothers, and so we help each other out. And when one is dealing with something, we want to help in whatever way we can. So that's really important to us.
I think sometimes when you hear about a concert or something going on and you hear that proceeds are going to some kind of charity, many times the impression is that it was kind of an afterthought, whereas what I'm getting from you is this was part of the, hey, we're going to do this thing and we're going to give some of the money to this organization. It sounds to me like that was like not an afterthought, but right from the forefront where you said, let's do this. Let's support another organization out there.
Before one thing was sold, that was decided. Before the album was done, before any shirts or hats were created, that had been decided, and it was actually Clint Brown's idea, and he presented it to Jody and I, and to Jody's wife, and we of course I was on board, and it just it brought Jody and his wife to tears, just because there's a lot of people that do things with I think we all make decisions with motivation. Mm-hmm. I think the thing is, if you give it enough time, the motivation is revealed. And I think it was really heartwarming, and it really blessed them a lot to know that, the motivation of this thing is really to minister to people, to help people. So we're actually in the middle of writing a song about Judah and his smile. And I know that, that song will be all about him, but will just be another way to minister to people that are dealing, to all the families that are affected by that.
Mm-hmm. You've also got the song "He's Got Away," and that was written with him in mind as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was there was twofold on that. That I started writing that song based on my testimony of I fought depression and suicide for 26 years, and I ended up, several years ago, I was put in a mental hospital to try to get help, and I received the help I needed, and so I started writing that out of, he's got a way of making beauty from brokenness. He's got a way of breaking chains of hopelessness, and I think that's where I was at. At that time, I was hopeless, and then when I got with Clint and Jody, and we started talking about it, and we all developed the rest of the song. It talked about, even looking at a child and having the doctor, say that your child is autistic. There's, Jody has said, man, there's times that you feel hopeless because there's nothing you can do. You don't have the availability. There's nothing you can do to change it, to fix it. And we really, that's going to be our next single that's coming to come out in January, I believe, is "He's Got Away." And that song really is our favorite because we all wrote it together, which is the first song that we've all written together. And because it's such a testimony of that. And man, we've already received so many people that have contacted us and said how that song has ministered to them.
You mentioned, depression and suicidal thoughts and whatnot. And in this day and age, I suppose now there's more visibility on a lot of that. But quite frankly, especially with social media, you only see the good stuff, right? You only see the smiles. You only see when things are going great. People are putting on their best side when they post a picture or write any comments or whatever else. And so it's nice to see just being upfront and open about, the inspiration behind the song, let alone what transpired in your life.
Well, my favorite verse has actually shifted. I always grew up loving Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not in your own understandings, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And that's kind of like my life motto. But in this new season, I love when the Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I don't think enough people actually share their testimony because they're embarrassed or they're ashamed about it. But we've got an opportunity to share that with people, because the word of our testimony is I think it's the biggest ministry tool that's not used as much as it should. Mm-hmm. That should be used all the time, I think. And there's too many people, and there's too many. I think that's one thing that Christians are guilty of is hiding their testimony. My wife and I were doing a live video the other day, and we talked about how, isn't it interesting that Jesus came back, and when he revealed himself to the disciples, he still had scars? Mm-hmm. But yet we all try to hide our scars, to not talk about what we've been through.
Right, yeah.
And so I think there's something powerful in that, and I've got the best response from people when I'm trying to tell them about the Lord. I always get the best response when I tell them my testimony of the mistakes I've made and the things that I've been, healed from or set free from, as opposed to tell them how good I am. Nobody's impressed by how good you are, because, where you compare, you compete. And I think a lot of people feel like they're not good enough to be a Christian. They're not good enough to go to church. And that's just the opposite of what we need to be presenting to people because they're looking for hope.
Yeah. Well, and they're not necessarily finding that, on a day-to-day basis, wherever they spend their time, whether it's social media or in front of other people. I just think about, and you were talking about, just being open and the fact that Jesus showed his scars, and yet so many of us will go online and use filters to make ourselves look better. And some of them are funny, but some of them, are obviously just, trying to impress others. And I'm not a selfie guy. I don't like posting selfies because I don't think I look good. Would I post a selfie if I used a filter that made myself look good? I hope not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think there has to be a fine line where people, you want to be presentable and you want to care and be a good representation. But there's, it's crazy that today you can hardly believe what you see or what you hear.
Right.
Everything can be tweaked. Everything can be fixed. Everything can, like you said, there's very little transparency in the world today. And it's, if we were to tell people the shocking story of Milli Vanilli, of the young generation today, they would be like, what's the big deal?
Yeah,
because it's very common for us to see an artist on TV lip syncing and they go, oh, well, they have to do that because of the sound or because of the, and so, the sad thing is that's all you see. Just like you said, everything has a filter. Everything's been tweaked. So it's very rare that, when we interviewed with the record companies, a lot of them asked us, it was very common that day. We were interviewed back-to-back interviews all day long. And several of them asked us, so out of these songs, how many would you guys be able to sing in one night? And we were like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, if you did a concert, how many would you do? And then would you be able to go to the piano and sing anything? Or and we were like, well, first of all, we could sing all of them. Mm-hmm. Well, and that just comes because we're used to leading worship at a church every single week for years and years and years and years and years. And sometimes multiple services a day, multiple services a week. And so, it's common for us to sing for an hour and to not, we use microphones, but it's us singing, but I will tell you, to go back to that, it is sad that a lot of people are only getting the best tweaked, modified version of each other.
Yeah. Of who you are. And especially in the last year and a half, with the fact that a lot of us have been cooped up at home, not being able to see people face to face, you just get this perception that everything is fine in your life when it may not be, right?
Totally. And you know what? The sad thing is, and I really see it, we're in Florida and we're pretty much open and you don't have to wear your mask anywhere. But, so the only time I really get reminded of it and get aggravated from it is on a plane and at an airport. But it's crazy because at an airport now, you don't even because everybody has a mask on. I don't you don't even look at people. You just there's no personal contact. There's not even eye contact, not even a smile, not even a waving. There's people that come up to us and say, are you so and so? They ask, are you Clint Brown? And he said, he was like, oh yeah. He's like, well, I really couldn't tell, but because of the mask. But there's times where you're in an airport and you don't even look at people because they all have a mask on, and it's really shut down the personal involvement.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. You can see their eyes if you actually look, but a lot of times you don't. What I've been surprised at is with how long this has gone on as far as wearing masks is concerned. When somebody takes off their mask and all you knew previously was them with the mask on, it's like you almost don't recognize them. It's like, oh, that's what you really look like, because it covers up so much of your face.
Right. Well, and I definitely can say that what's aggravating to me is I can't understand. There's people that say stuff, and I finally just say, okay, because they'll say something 3 times, and because they have a mask on, I can't understand them.
Yeah. I know. I have the same. I have the same thing, and you're trying to repeat it, or and it's muffled, and I feel bad because I know I'm muffled and I can't do anything about it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that all of that is very soon behind all of us, so we can get on with life, and hopefully it's better because of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, thank you so much for hanging with me on Between the Grooves. If you're ever in the Canadian, ever coming up to the Toronto area, let us know and we'll grab a coffee or something.
Sounds great, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, James.
Sounds good. Take care, Seth.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Seth Elbe from Southbound on Between the Grooves. Make sure you check out southbound.live to find the links to their music, events, and social media as well. Well, for artist advice this week, Swanisha, she was a guest with us in the early part of 2020. In fact, our last in-studio guest during the pandemic. And here she is now with advice for artists.
It's okay to be creative in sharing the gospel. It's okay to creatively produce that. For me, it's been hard figuring out where tradition, if tradition would conflict with sharing the gospel, just based on experiences that I've had with my grandma. And I've grown as an artist to know that it's okay to be creative and express the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what Jesus did. He met them in their culture and he produced truth. And so it's okay to do that.
Being creative in sharing the gospel, some wise words from Swanisha, meeting your audience where they are. You might have a different style of music, and the people that are moved by your artistry, that's your mission field. Thank you so much for checking back with us, Swanisha, with artist advice this week. And that is it for this week's episode of Between the Grooves. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast for new episodes. And don't forget, leave us a rating and a review. That just helps us reach more people. And if you've got any comments, feel free to check in with us on Twitter and Facebook. We'll see you next time on Between the Grooves.